I was running after money. Like, I want money right now so that I can buy a car and then I can buy a house, because then everybody will think that I'm so awesome. You must have noticed that after the pandemic, self-development work, inner work, energy healing work got a lot of attention and popularity, which is amazing, no? But my journey started when I turned 19 because I started getting into depression. It got really bad. But it's been more than a decade that I've been working on myself, to an extent that now I am a mindset shifting coach who specially works with entrepreneurs. Even then, I made a lot of mistakes, like way too many mistakes. And as a 31-year-old, I would go back and I would have certain advices for myself in my 20s. So if you want to avoid making some mistakes in your 20s, also so that you don't have to fix them in your 30s, then watch this video till the end. Slow and sustainable growth over fast and erratic one. I wish I could just give this one advice and my life would have been really different. I was blinded by this idea that I have to make it fast and I have to get successful right now, not later. Later did not even exist. That created so much pressure. And after exhausting my energy over the years, later on I realized that fast success feels great, but only for a limited time, and then you're back to your normal benchmark of happiness, habits, health, wealth. So I would give this advice to myself in my 20s that instead you got to build character, habits and mindset that don't only support you in your 20s but throughout your life. Your 30s are not a death sentence. I know so many people feel so much anxiety that 20s are supposed to be the best decade, best age of your life, and you have to make the most, you have to do all the things that you ever imagined doing in your life right in your 20s. It is such a huge misconception. The truth is that life keeps getting better and better. You are happier, wealthier in your life as you go ahead if you are living it consciously and taking all the learnings and lessons that you need to take, which by the way you would be doing in your 30s as well, 40s as well, and 50s as well, in fact throughout your life. So please let go of this pressure that you have to make it in your 20s. You would have new goals at every age. That means you would always be progressing, evolving. It never ends. Slowing down is not losing. I would really put myself in my 20s in bed, wrap myself around with a nice blanket and literally ask myself to sleep and take rest. I believed that slowing down meant being left behind, not making it on time. Hence, I was always running. Like my mind, I remember that moment I was sitting on my bed and my mind was running just as usual. And I got this really loud thought that, am I being too much? Do I need to pause? And I ignored that thought and just kept running on a high speed mentally and physically. And after that, it got too much and I started getting into depression. So my advice is that the more you slow down and take breaks, you get better quality ideas, you make better quality decisions. That of course means that you get way better quality results and much faster. Stop comparing yourself to others. It's a very cliche advice, but this is the most applicable one to myself in my 20s. Now, I would consume a lot of business news and so did my friends. And we would talk about Ritesh, who is Oyo's founder, and many other people, entrepreneurs who made a lot of money and got a lot of success early in their life. And we would compare ourselves to them. And I would always feel like I am left behind, I'm not enough, and I need to do a lot in a very short amount of time to make something out of my life. That point of comparison never made me feel enough. That's not a good state to be in, because first of all, you are losing your connection with yourself. That's really harmful. It's very harmful. And second, you are not really connected to your reality in the present. Instead, you've made a picture in your mind that you're always trying to strive for. Understand that there's no perfect timeline for success. We all have our own timelines, and our timelines are influenced by factors that many times are out of our control, such as some got abused in their childhood, some had toxic parents, some got bullied in school, some went through a sickness, that is why they were on a break. So no matter how hard we try, we all are going to have our unique journeys. So the sooner we realize this, the sooner we get at peace in life. Don't be too competitive. Instead, practice empathy. I wish I could tell myself this, because growing up, I was always told that it's a man's world. And for me, that meant that I have to get into my masculine energy, and every man is my competition. And in the process, I stopped connecting with that part of me that was empathetic, that loved loving, that loved giving. And I got to focus on what are other people doing, and I got to be doing more to be ahead of them. Super competitive. And it's exhausting. You realize that later. Not everything needs your parents' approval. Now, I used to feel great about the fact that I would convince my parents of every unconventional choice I would make for myself. Whether I am going to another country for a summer school when I'm 19, or I am sharing with them that I have a boyfriend at that age. But then over the years, I've learned that convincing others takes a lot of energy, and most of the times it's not even necessary. All you got to do is you got to convince yourself. Other people will come around sooner or later, and especially when they see results. And I would have saved a lot of energy, especially when I was making career choices. I'm a chartered accountant, and I started building my own talk show. So I would go and speak to my parents about each detail, take their advice on everything, and it would just get really confusing, and I would think that I need to be doing what they suggest me to do, but then my intuition or my heart is telling me something else. It was just a lot of work to get small things done. So the sooner you stop taking approval from your parents, your family, or environment, the better you connect with yourself, and the more grounded you are within yourself. Whether you're making mistakes or not, you know that you have your back. Start now, not later, and make more mistakes. Because I wanted success fast, I would keep waiting for the perfect time and to be prepared fully to actually make something happen. I did not start making content on YouTube earlier. I did not relearn French. I did not learn choreography for different dances. All of this that I'm doing right now in my 30s, all because I felt like I had to be more prepared, and I had to wait for the right time and the perfect time to do that, because I only wanted to do it when I was sure that I would get success. It's just the opposite of how actually success comes to us. I remember sitting in my drawing room with my father's friend who was doing really well on YouTube, and I was discussing with him my plans to make a show, etc. And he said that, hey, how about you do that on YouTube first? And I was like, I was feeling so smart about it. I said that, oh, YouTube is really slow and it takes years to get success there. So I would rather take the shortcut and sell my show to an OTT channel, news channel, blah, blah, blah. That was my plan that I shared with him. It was a great way of thinking, but the only mistake I made was I actually did not create anything. I was just talking, and I was planning, and I was reading, I was watching videos, I was taking advices, but not really creating anything. So I wish I had started small, and I had started not to succeed, but I had started to practice and practice and practice. When you're in the flow, you build more momentum, and hence you gain more traction and more results follow through. Don't seek too much advice, build your intuition. In our 20s, we somehow feel that other people, especially elders and experts, know more than us. Even though that might be true in certain instances, we forget that we got to build our own intuition, our inner knowing, and we got to ask ourselves, what do we know, and got to practice that so that we also build that level of trust with ourselves. So I would take advices on everything from multiple people. For example, when I was making my show, I would have an Excel sheet, and for videography, for example, I would have a list of 10 people to go and ask them, how can I do this, how can I do that. While that was helping me gain more information, I realized that nobody has the correct answer. Multiple people have different advices on the same freaking thing. That means there is no one way to get to a point. And how do you know what's the correct way? Only when you take one way. Start walking on it, and you will learn that either this is working for you or it's not. If it's not, you will learn some other way and try to make that happen. So the advice that I would give to myself back then would be that, hey girl, hey girl, hey Yuvika, you got to ask yourself questions and check with yourself, where do you feel intuitively pulled? Make those choices, see what happens, and you will learn way more in that process rather than just wasting your time taking advice from people. There is no single life path. We in our 20s think that we really need to find our purpose, our calling, the right career, and the right business. None of that exists. Yes, for a moment in your life, you may feel like this is an absolutely amazing thing that you're doing in your career. But guess what? That might change later as you gain more clarity, as you evolve as a person. That is bound to happen. That means you do not have to find the correct answer for your life in your 20s. That will remove all the pressure that you've been carrying on your shoulders and feeling like you have to gain all the clarity right now. You would be gaining clarity in your 30s and going forward. The sooner you realize this, the happier you will be. Building a wealth mindset. While I was running after money, like I want money right now so that I can buy a car and then I can buy a house, because then everybody will think that I'm so awesome. I had lack of self-image, so I always thought that gaining that validation from others will make me feel good about myself, da 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 da. In this process, I forgot that you create wealth holistically, consciously, on your own terms when you have a wealth mindset. I did not have any foundation of what was the purpose of wealth in my life. How did I want to make money in my life? In what way? By hustling, hard work, or there could be a path that is more passionate, that is more, synced to my heart. Well, that possibility did not even exist in my life, because I always thought in my 20s that I only have to work hard to gain some success in life. So I would go back and tell myself, babe, pause and start from the basics. Start from the fundamentals, get them right. Question everything that you've learned so far. Work on deconditioning yourself, because right now your programming is all influenced by your external factors. You don't even know who you are, what are your values, what are your terms for life, what do you want your life to feel like, look like. Get all of that sorted and then build wealth based on those terms and value system. Go alone if you have to. I know we all have been given these advices that hold your school friends very closely, don't let them go, stick with your college friends, later in life you won't be able to have deep friendships. That's a load of BS, because this is an advice that I took too close to my heart and I wasted a lot of energy in taking all my friends with me. Now we are all different people and we realize those differences even more when we get out of school, because we're exposed to different realities and we start picking up different things that we want to inculcate more in our life. It's totally okay to outgrow people. That does not mean that you have to let them go from your life. You can always regulate your communication with them. What do you share with them? You can always regulate your conversation with your friends. Like, you could be sharing different things with them now, knowing that the open-mindedness and the business conversation that you want to have with them will not be reciprocated. That's totally fine. And on top of that, start making friends based on your new values. And while you're doing this, it's totally okay to do this alone rather than having friends that are sort of pulling you down or they're slowing you down. So let me know in the comments which advice you would be implementing in your life. I'm wishing a lot of clarity and a deep connection with yourself in your 20s, so that you're not only surviving your 20s, but you're thriving in your 20s in your own way, in your own style. This is Yuvika. I'll see you in the next video.